You ever meet someone so obsessed with control that they make dictators look like kindergarten teachers? That's Gloria, the self-crowned queen of our HOA, who somehow believes running a suburban cul-de-sac is the same thing as running a nation. Not only is she a control freak, but she's also an insane extremist on anything concerning the earth. She'll scream about carbon footprints if you dare to idle your car for 30 seconds, and she once tried to fine a neighbor for watering their plants too enthusiastically because, in her words, it was climate terrorism. She's notorious for micromanaging everything from how tall your grass is to what shade of beige your mailbox should be. And the dumb fines were endless. $50 because my recycling bin was out for 10 minutes too long, $100 because my porch light bulb wasn't warm tone enough, and my personal favorite, a $75 violation for having overly enthusiastic wind chimes. Yes, apparently, peace and tranquility offend her. Welcome to HOA Karen Chronicles. Comment which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story goes. One weekend, I decided to host a barbecue for the first time since moving in. Nothing complicated, just good food, old friends from college, and a couple of neighbors who wanted to hang out. I fired up the grill, threw on some juicy burgers, ribs, and chicken wings, and the smell alone was enough to make people wander over. Music played, kids darted across the yard, people laughed, and the evening was shaping up perfectly. Then, of course, trouble showed up. Gloria came marching down the street with her two loyal HOA sidekicks, storming into the yard like she was leading some kind of moral crusade. She didn't just complain, she came armed with papers and started spewing nonsense about neighborhood guidelines, local ordinances, and even claiming state law supported her ban on meat consumption. She waved the documents around like she was a judge at the Supreme Court. My buddy James looked her dead in the face and asked, "Are you actually insane, or is this just your weekend hobby?" Everyone burst into laughter while Gloria's face tightened like she'd just sucked a lemon. We ignored her, flipped another round of burgers, and kept the drinks flowing. But she wasn't done. Not even close. About an hour later, she pulled back up, this time dragging along three men who looked like they'd been hired off a shady Craigslist ad titled, "We'll Scare Neighbors for Cash." They barged in, tipped over the grill, smashed chairs, and terrified the kids so badly they bolted inside screaming. One thug even stomped on a tray of ribs like he had a personal vendetta against barbecue. That was it. The fun was over, and my blood boiled. This wasn't just some HOA drama anymore. This was a full-blown attack. We tried pushing back, but these guys weren't the type to back down. They shoved us, tossed threats, and left a trail of destruction behind them. And in that moment, I realized something crystal clear. Gloria had declared war, and I was more than ready to fight back. The next morning, my backyard looked like a war zone. Charred grill on its side, chairs snapped in half, trays of food ruined. If someone walked by, they'd think a hurricane came through. My phone buzzed nonstop with texts from guests checking if I was okay, and neighbors whispering that Gloria had gone way too far this time. Everyone was furious, but she strutted around the neighborhood like she had just saved the world from evil carnivores. Later that day, I found a notice taped to my door. It was written in her usual HOA Karen handwriting, half angry scribbles, half self-righteous scripture. She claimed that by serving meat, I had violated community ethics, and according to her, Section 12 of the HOA handbook banned the preparation of animal products. Never mind the fact that the handbook said nothing of the sort. She even quoted California Penal Code 596, twisting it completely out of context, trying to claim it applied to grilling ribs. It was laughable, but also infuriating. I took the notice to James, and we both couldn't believe the level of delusion. He cracked up and said, "Next week she's going to fine you for thinking about a steak." I laughed, but deep down, I wasn't letting this slide. Not after she sent thugs into my yard and terrified kids who were just trying to enjoy a barbecue. Word started spreading quickly. Neighbors who normally stayed quiet came to me with their own horror stories. Gloria had fined one family for using a gas-powered lawnmower instead of an electric one, accused another of soil abuse for planting tomatoes, and even threatened to evict an elderly couple because their dog barked during quiet earth hours. People had been putting up with her nonsense for years, but this meat crusade had pushed her into lunatic territory. I started digging. First into the HOA bylaws. Turns out Gloria had been editing them without board approval. Then into state statutes. where I found plenty of laws against harassment, trespassing, and property damage. She wanted to play the law game? Perfect, because unlike Gloria, I wasn't bluffing, and the more I uncovered, the sharper my plan became. The plan came together faster than I expected. I wasn't just going to fight back, I was going to dismantle Gloria's whole empire of nonsense. First step, evidence. Luckily, half my guests had filmed the entire scene on their phones. Clear footage of the thugs flipping my grill, knocking over chairs, and even Gloria's smug face in the background, barking orders. That alone was enough to bury her in legal trouble. But I didn't stop there. I compiled every ridiculous fine she'd ever slapped on me and my neighbors, cross-checking them against the actual HOA handbook and state law. 90% of them were fake. Completely fabricated rules Gloria had invented to keep people scared and compliant. I organized it all into a tidy binder, color-coded and tabbed, like the kind of thing that would make a judge's heart sing. My buddy James joked, "You're about to Thanos snap this HOA into dust." And honestly, he wasn't wrong. With everything ready, I contacted the state housing authority and filed an official complaint, backed by the videos, the fraudulent fines, and statements from neighbors. But I didn't stop there. I also called the local police department and pressed charges for trespassing, destruction of property, and child endangerment. The cops didn't laugh it off, especially not after seeing Gloria hire muscle to storm a family cookout. When the officers showed up at her door with a warrant, the entire neighborhood watched from their porches. Gloria tried her usual routine, waving papers around, shouting about earth ethics and community sovereignty. She even tried quoting state law again, twisting it like a yoga instructor on Red Bull. But the officers weren't buying it. They cuffed her right there on her perfect manicured lawn, while her puppet board members looked like they wanted to melt into the grass. The thugs, they rolled on her instantly. Turns out, Gloria had paid them cash under the table, and one of them admitted she promised legal protection because she was above the law. That fantasy ended quick. To top it off, she was slapped with a fine under Section 18.2-461 for filing a false report and making fraudulent claims. And as if the humiliation wasn't enough, the HOA members held an emergency meeting where the majority voted her out as president. She went from queen bee to exiled in record time. Watching her get shoved into the squad car while the whole block clapped and cheered was better than any revenge fantasy I could have dreamed up. The HOA board was dissolved within weeks, neighbors finally free from her eco-extremist dictatorship. And the best part? Next weekend, we held another barbecue bigger and louder than the first. This time, no interruptions, just laughter, music, and enough ribs to feed an army. The end. Please like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns like this. Have you had a similar encounter with a Karen HOA or anyone in the HOA board? Let us know in the comments.